And ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Hello, I'm Thomas Carruthers.
I'm Jerry.
And today, me and Jerry are recording 2 episodes, but they will be released separately, obviously. And I've inadvertently, completely, genuinely, inadvertently put together the 2 toy episodes.
Yes, I know. That was really funny.
One of them is a twist. Well, we're going to talk about the episode now for 40 minutes, but I've just given away the entire ending. Not that people listen to it anyway. And the other one is The Wonderful Living Doll. But to start with, we're talking about 5 characters in search of an exit.
Yeah. They walk into a bar. I'm kidding. They don't.
They don't, or do they? That might be my favorite part of the episode, when Serling has the confidence to say, we could all be on a spaceship, or we could be in somebody's mind, or we could be, and the kind of like, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, or meta or not, but it kind of goes through what you'd imagine would be the typical Twilight Zone ending.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
true.
I hope that's Serling having the humility to accept that after, nearly 80 episodes already, that some tropes are seeping in. I think this is an episode that defies tropes. I rewatched the intro from the previous episode for this episode, and there is a sublime confidence, and I think justifiably so. This was a first watch for you. Did you guess the ending?
No. And
how could you? It's so out of the realm of possibility, plausibility. Whilst on a rewatch and not 100th, 10th or 12th or whatever watch for me, works still so well, and there's enough clues in the dialogue and the like for repeat watchers for the ending to have an effect in that regard. What did you think of 5 characters in search of an exit?
It was fun. It was a fun little episode.
Yeah.
I don't think there's some extreme deep meaning or anything, but
on the contrary, Jay, couldn't this be the episode with the deepest? Like, can't you read into oh, why are we here on the earth? Why, and all that sort of thing? Isn't this episode ripe for that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. But I was moved by the clown.
Well, it's brilliant.
Actually, the clown was very funny.
Yeah. He's the wonderful Murray Matheson.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good in this. This episode was directed by Lamont Johnson, who directed, among other episodes, this and The Shelter and Nothing in the Dark, which I would say are 3 episodes which all have a play-like sensibility to them. And I don't know if Lamont Johnson did any theatre, but in its simplest form, obviously, it is just 5 characters, 5 actors.
He was definitely active in theatrical productions at schools, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, interesting. Good for Lamont Johnson. So, interesting story about how this episode comes to pass. There is a party where Marvin Petal, who wrote, it's credited as a short story, but it seems to be a draft of a possible story for an episode that Rod Serling bought from Marvin Petal and was like, I'll write a great story, but I'm writing the script and we're changing the name. So again, I don't want to either throw Marvin Petal under the bus and say he's a hack writer and Serling wrote a better script than what he would have written, but I also don't want to put too much credence on the name of Marvin Petal as if he was ham-fisted and is possibly the great unsung writer of our time. It's certainly a great story and it's certainly a great twist. Do you think there is enough? Do you think there's enough juice? Do you think there's enough stuff in the episode up until the twist, because for me, there's a certain point where they all obviously climb on top of each other and try, all fall down,
and then we got to do it again.
And then we got to do it again.
Yeah.
Whereas, did you get that sort of vibe?
Yeah, it felt very like, like this is a 25-minute episode. It's going to have a very simple structure. And then by the end, we'll have resolved everything after climbing ourselves twice.
Yeah.
It felt kind of like, like, oh, we're going to eat this during dinner and feel comfortable. And then at the end, we'll go, ooh.
It is. And also, I mean, it is obviously just Toy Story. And
yeah.
and there is something about this being, I mean, obviously it's a lot more adult in its language and that sort of thing, not to say that it's graphic in any way, but is there an element, well, I wrote this of it years and years ago, a bizarre oddity of concept from Serling based on Marvin Patel's short story that finally reveals itself to be an almost perfectly disturbing version of a story that we would come to view in a far more light-hearted and animated fashion in the 90s. Our characters are that of a major, William Wyndham playing most with the paranoia and confusion of the setup, Susan Harrison as a ballerina, a tragic vision of a beauty trapped, Clark Allen as a bagpiper, along with Kelton Garwood as a tramp. Clearly didn't have anything to write about them. I put both of which remain more quiet than the others and lend their resignation to add to the horror of it all. Our final character, and perhaps even our lead, is Murray Matheson's terrific turn as a mercurial clown, commenting on the situation with a gaiety untapped amongst the other characters. Lamont Johnson directs the cast and the action to its unsettling climax with expertise and a great hand on the absurdity of the situation, as well as the inherent truth of it. So Serling takes the title by adopting Jean-Paul Sartre's No Exit and the Pirandello play, more clearly, Six Characters in Search of an Author. I guess your enjoyment of this episode, in many ways, plays into your enjoyment of the absurdists. We're obviously both theatre, majors and actors theatrically. Although your talents, Jay, are impeccable in so many fields, and I know that you knock like an absurdist play out of the park, is it something that you actually enjoy being a part of, if you have been in the future, if you have been in the past, or something you enjoy reading? Is that sort of absurd? I mean, we're recording this when a major production of Waiting for Godot is on in London with two of my favourite actors. I have no interest in watching it because I'm not a fan of Waiting for Godot, even though I love Ben Whishaw and I love Lucy Masamati. You talk now.
I did a scene from Waiting for Godot in America, and it made me want to jump out a window. So I don't know. I think it just depends on the absurdist play, because there's some that I you'd probably enjoy, and then there's quite a few that suck.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, what most absurdist plays miss is a killer ending like this one has, and I guess that makes me basic.
True. Not that we could come up with an ending for Waiting for Godot that would be incredible.
Well, I was writing something for a possible play about the theatre, and I don't know whether it's a comedy setup or something, but a guy who directs Waiting for Godot and has them, let's go, yes, let's, and then they both leave the stage. And I was thinking about what a great idea that would be, possibly I was the first director that actually had them leave in Waiting for Godot. Lamont said this: my all-time favorite one was the barrel one, the one with the Christmas one in the barrel. So he has a favorite, so he can't even remember the names of his episodes. The episode begins with that sun-like hole at the top. It is a great set that strives in its simplicity, and is so subtle and I say believable. Once we know the ending, it perfectly works. But for the rest of the episode, up until that point, it works in its liminality and its you could envision it as hell. You could envision it as any number of things.
Mhm.
Pardon me. The Major finds the clown, and today a Major, tomorrow a Brigadier, and it's already into the mold. Again, they're in a very small can. I don't know how they don't. He doesn't see the other three before he sees whilst him and the clown talk. You know, and then the Major begins speaking, and it seems a few important things seem to have eluded me, like who I am. And immediately we get into that heady sort of existential dialogue about who we are and who am I, who are we, and who are this, and all this shit, which
Yeah.
Serling does very well. It's just about how much temperament you have for it.
Yeah.
It was shot on 2 different sets, one horizontal and one vertical. To try.
I could tell.
There was
I
a lot
could
of
tell.
right shot and move over here.
Yeah. And when they were climbing as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
So they're definitely on the floor right now.
The wonderful Susan Harrison here, who is so great in the movie Sweet Smell of Success, which I love this Sweet Smell of Success. Didn't really have much of a career after that. I don't know whether she left the industry or didn't have any, any chances, which is great in Sweet Smell of Success as Burt Lancaster's sister, the sort of bigger point of that great film. And she's great here as the ballerina. And you could say that she's the one who perhaps tips most to the toy twist with the way that she is. But again, it's believable. Well, I keep saying believable, but you know what I mean. It's believable enough up until that point of her being a ballerina or anything like that.
Yeah.
Was there a point where you were guessing endings, or did you get to a stage of there isn't enough clues for me to actually guess what this is?
I did not guess it at all. There was no clues. I like throughout the entire thing, I was like, well, clearly they're in heaven. Clearly they're in hell.
Yeah.
Clearly they're dead. They don't need feeding. They don't need to die. I mean, they don't need to drink.
Are we missing it snowing in the can?
I know. Yeah. Wait, was it?
No, it never snows in the can. I just realized
That's
this.
so
That would have been a
strange.
great image.
Yeah.
And then you have them going, "Oh, snow! I don't know what snow is. I'm a toy cloud.
I guess
I
with
remember
that,
now."
like if the snow kept on building, then they'd just get out of the bucket.
Yeah.
So it would kind of take away from the twist.
Or freeze to death, but they don't feel.
Yeah.
So
what if someone kicks the bucket over?
yeah. Or what if somebody, hates orphans and steals all the toys?
Which, someone might steal them and sell them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, it's an interesting start, to say the least. Serling begins: clown, hobo, ballet dancer, bagpiper, and an army major. Let's start there. Whoever had a toy of a bagpiper?
Or a hobo, to be honest.
These things, maybe Americans are different.
Yeah.
But
the classic toys that you would have. My favorite part in Toy Story is when the hobo and the bagpiper kill Andy and run away with Woody.
I mean, it could be. I mean, we're getting Toy Story 5, for fuck's sake.
It's
even
true.
though Tarantino said, I never watched Toy Story 4 because Toy Story 3 is a perfect trilogy, man.
He's
interesting.
Yes,
A collection of question marks.
His films are good.
His films are great. 5 improbable entities stuck together into a pit of darkness. No logic, no reason, no explanation, just a prolonged nightmare in which fear, loneliness, and the unexplainable walk hand in hand through the shadows. In a moment, we'll start collecting clues as to the whys, the whats, and the wheres. Pause. Do we collect any clues?
Really?
We get that I'm going to answer my own question. We do, because we get that they don't feel pain, they don't eat, they don't. And then it's a bizarre closer to the opening, because it kind of not spoils the ending, but it does tell us that the ending they will not succeed. If you're listening carefully and don't take it
Oh
as
yeah.
just sirling gibberish, when he says, not that it's gibberish, but if somebody's just like half listening, we will not end the nightmare. We'll only explain it because this is the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, put that on a tattoo for me. I mean, they're my favorite Twilight Zones. But
I love it when they suffer.
yeah. But like he's gonna he tells you right there and then that we're gonna tell you where they, which leads you, if you were listening carefully, does lead you to those the recesses of your guessing being dark as fuck. And we immediately get into questions. Who are we? None of us knows, Major. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. Each of us woke up one moment and here we are in the darkness. That's how can that happen? That's the question we asked ourselves, Major. A question with no answer. We're nameless things with no memory, no knowledge of what went before, no understanding of what it is now, no knowledge of what will be. Boring Tom question. If they're pre-used toys, why don't they have any memory of their previous owners and
That's a
their
good question.
lives?
Also, why do they even know what food is, or about the need to starve, or anything?
Yeah. You could,
you know, there's many things that you could go, but I don't care.
No, yeah. You could do you think there's room for a few subtle lines of dialogue of, I remember I was in a land of giants. Do you think that, like, is there a subtle enough way to feed a bit more? I was in the hands of a great god. Something like that, maybe? Or do you
Called Goo Goo Gaga.
Yeah, yeah, screaming. The last words I heard was, Martha, why the fuck did you buy a bagpiper? She's a 6-year-old girl. Yeah. Oh, and what's the other toy? A hobo. Great. Martha, I'm throwing these in the trash.
Martha, we need to get fucking divorced.
Yeah, Martha, please. But Annabelle, yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe this is a prequel to Living Doll. And that's why their relationship is so terrible.
Maybe it is.
You keep buying dolls, and I keep having to throw them away.
We'll get there. I was going to say something, but
we meet the Scottish accented Major with the worst Scottish accent I've heard in some time. Clark Allen. So I googled, is this just like, is he doing something, or is he not actually from Scotland? And he was born in Baltimore.
Oh, classic Scotland.
My favorite. Like I've you know, people can do accents, people can play the Scottish. Just do an accent, please. Do a good accent.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare. This might be my favorite line, actually. This is a nightmare. It must be a nightmare. Yes, indeed. But whose? And there's a few bits of that. There's a few you know, are you all in my dream, or am I in your dream? And that's very Lynchian. Did you get a Lynchian vibe?
A little bit, yeah.
The sleeper must awaken and all that sort of thing. Then we get the first bell. This is the only sort of clue, because we don't get any snow inside the tin or the can or the bin. We get the first bell, and this ringing, and it knocks everybody over, and it's, you know, incredibly pulsating, and you know, down, and they're going, all right, interesting. And that's the only clue, quote unquote, but obviously it's nowhere near good enough a clue. There's no way they would be able to guess that it's the bell of a nun. And these wonderful downward angles that do catch the whatever is above. Doesn't explain it, obviously, or doesn't choose to explain it or anything like that, but it is there for us, and is waiting for us almost at the end of the episode. Lovely spooky image of the ballerina dancing to the bagpipers' music. Again, just slowly, weird, affected, bizarre. It's all very soft. And again, another great moment, sort of clue, where the sword breaks because it's a fake sword. And again, subtle enough that there's no way to read into it or anything like that, but it's believable enough to pass it off as what am I saying? The fact that it's a fake sword, the fact that it's a fake sword works, yes. And then we get into some really heavy stuff. The ballerina. Perhaps there are a lot of dungeons like this. We've just never heard of them before. Perhaps they're for the unloved. Perhaps who we are, the unloved. Now,
the claw.
The claw. This is a really dark metaphor that obviously sounds horrible. Is there a correlation? Big pre-emphasis. People aren't orphaned for lack of love and that sort of thing. There are a litany of reasons why people are in orphanages. Is there a metaphor? Is there a metaphor or a parallel to be drawn between the toys feeling unloved in the bottom of a bin and the orphans that they're raising money for?
Maybe. I mean, like you talking about that though has also made me think about the toys that they are and the fact that they're left over. Like,
true. Yeah.
I'm assuming no one wants the clown toy or the hobo or the bagpiper. Although I guess the major and the ballet dancer would be toys that people would get, but
maybe people would like the clown if it wasn't so perfectly articulated and terrifying.
Yeah, maybe. And also if it didn't crawl out of a sewer and eat you.
Yeah, it does look very similar to some version of Pennywise. And then I love I don't want to bring too much drag terminology into a show from 1965, but how bitchy and how much the clown just reads everybody of one of us can walk over to the hardware store and get the rope. Ah, yes. Oh no, sorry. Yes, the hardware store. Yes. But the major brings it back. No, strips of clothing, anything. I think William Wyndham's really good in this, actually. And I get that great line, somehow I'll get you out of here, but none of us gets out until one of us gets out. Now, that is a logic you can live with. We live in a terrible world of politics right now. And the idea of, everybody banding together to work for a cause rings a little bit too false, too true, rather. This is the wonderful William Wyndham, who was a theatre actor, and this was his first Californian job. And Richard Widmark turned down the role because it only paid $1,000 a week, which was a lot more than theatre. And it, to be frank, is a lot more than right now. And that is in 1960s money. So,
oh my God.
And then he starts talking about everybody else, and he's like, well, Murray Matheson died. This lady gave up acting. We argued about billing. Neither of us were very known, but we had our opinions. So William Wyndham was a fun commentary to listen to. And then eventually, of course, they all build together, stand up again. And then the major falls into the snow.
Yep.
And then we cut back inside. He'll be back for us. And then the clown, that pathos. He might be back, but not for us. Because he may be right. This may be hell. And we get the reveal that it's the Toy Story. And it's for the orphans, we don't have anywhere near enough. And it's a Christmas charity toy drive. I
wonder if when it aired, people would be quicker with the twist. I wonder if it was more common that there'd be a bell, people giving away stuff at orphanages. I don't know.
True, and I thought you were going to say something different, which is that were these common toys at the time, and so
maybe,
yeah.
Because the bell for me wasn't a clue at all.
No, I mean it could have, but the bell could be anything, couldn't it? It could be the bell of a church. It could be, the tolling of hell. It could quite literally be for whom the bell tolls. It could be hell or death. Hell, the bell tolls. The dolls in that final pan down, were all life-size mannequins with face masks on them. So that's why they look kind of spooky. Again, we're fresh off doing the after hours. I've really done some weird planning.
You did not mix things up at all.
No. So the girl is producer Buck Houghton's daughter. And then we pan down and we get the ballet dancer crying the tears of a doll. So they can't eat, they can't drink, they don't starve, but they do have tears.
They can cry.
But I can cry and I can feel. And I can cry. In fact, I bet you never do. So yeah, so it's, and before we go to Serling's closing narration, what did you think overall of Five Characters in Search of an Exit?
I think it was a very fun little episode. I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah.
It
It's a kind of perfect little welcoming, intro episode as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very, I don't know, it's a very Twilight Zone episode, but it's not too Twilight Zone, I guess. I don't know.
It's not bogged down. It's not bogged down in any sort of stuff of the time. It's very, very timeless. And there is a world, of course, where this feels like a timeless children's Christmas story. The ending, it does reveal itself to be a Christmas episode in so many ways, and there weren't many. There was one out and out Christmas episode with Santa, Night of the Meek, and then there's the Crossing, Changing of the Guard, with Donald Pleasance, which is set at Christmas and is very dark and very good. And then I guess you could count this. And so there's not, it makes for a nice, well, I think the most Christmassy thing is the ending, when Serling starts talking about children. Just a barrel, dark depository where it kept the counterfeit, make-believe pieces of plaster and cloth, wrought in a distorted image of human life. But this added hopeful note, thank you, Rod, because that was very dark about toys. Perhaps they are unloved only for the moment. In the arms of children, there can be nothing but love. A clown, a tramp, a bagpipe player, a ballet dancer, and a major. Tonight's cast of characters on the odd stage known as the Twilight Zone. So it does end on a hopeful note of, in the arms of an angel, in the arms of a child, anything can be loved and cared for, and it does. It kind of has. I don't want to be rude, but it kind of has its cake and eats it too, because the final thing we see, or the final thing we hear from the toys, is the clown, accepting the fate of death almost. So, this is hell. We're in hell. Maybe we're in hell. And apart from that, it then chooses to end on quite a sweet note. Ranking time, Jay. Ranking time. I don't think it's cracking the top 10. I'm looking now.
No.
I think this is low for me. I think it's the new 22.
You sent me the
Just sent it, yeah. For me, it could be the new 22, because I think The Invaders is an absolute classic. Then Third from the Sun, Where Is Everybody? Whereas it's better than Long Live Walter Jameson, I think, in twist-wise and that sort of thing. And I don't think it's cracking the... So far, we've got a pretty classic, perfect top 20.
Yeah, okay. I can agree on 22.
Yeah. 5 characters in Search of Exit. Wonderful stuff. So, as I've already alluded to, our next episode will be about the wonderful living doll. But before that point, Jay, anything left to say about the wonderful... What did we just talk about? 5 characters in Search of an Exit. Christ.
I don't know. I hope my toys weren't so depressed.
I know. All of these, it's all so bleak, all of these lives that we've put our toys through.
Talkie Tina says they need to get a fucking grip.
Yeah, Talkie Tina said, stop fucking crying all the time. Oh, I love Talkie Tina so much. And we'll be talking about Talkie Tina very, very soon. Thank you very much, Jay.